Welcome to this explainer. You know that sudden involuntary tightening in your chest when the power suddenly fails and you're just plunged into pitch blackness? Or maybe that instinctual urge to walk just a little bit faster down a dimly lit street? Well, today we're going to dive into why that exact feeling is not only completely justified, but deeply encoded into our DNA. We're unpacking the ancient terror of the night.
So we really have to ask ourselves here, is being afraid of the dark just some childhood phase we eventually outgrow? Or is it a deeply encoded survival mechanism passed down from our ancestors? Because the reality is, when the sun dipped below the horizon in the ancient world, the rules of survival completely flipped.
Starting off with Section 1, the biological trap, which is all about our daytime evolution. To understand this ancient dread, we actually need to look inward first. Why? Because human evolution is written entirely in the daylight. Our eyes are, well, a pretty major vulnerability. You see, the human retina relies heavily on cone cells for color and high-resolution detail. But the catch is, they need a lot of light. In the dark, we have to fall back on our scattered rod cells. Sure, they let us see basic shapes and pick up on motion in dim light, but they are colorless and give us incredibly poor resolution. And crucially, we completely lack something called a tapetum lucidum. That's the retroreflective layer behind the retina that acts like a mirror. It essentially gives animals a second chance to catch faint light. It's exactly what causes that eerie, glowing eye shine you see in a cat or a wolf if you shine a flashlight at them. But without this biological mirror, humans are practically blind on a moonless night compared to apex predators. But our brains try to compensate. When our sight is compromised, our hearing kicks into overdrive, and we experience this phenomenon called pareidolia. Basically, this is our psychological tendency to perceive meaningful patterns, like faces or forms, where absolutely none exist. In broad daylight, a pile of sticks is just a pile of sticks, but in the dark, pareidolia turns it into a crouching beast. And honestly, this hypervigilance actually kept our ancestors alive, assuming every shadow hit a threat was a totally vital evolutionary survival mechanism. Moving on to Section 2, Predators and Fragile Fire. This is where we talk about real monsters and early sanctuaries. Because this paranoia, it wasn't just in their heads. It was entirely rational. During the Pleistocene epoch, the darkness hid very real, tangible monsters. We were definitely not the apex predators. We were the prey. The ancient world was prowled by massive nocturnal hunters. We're talking cave lions, saber-toothed cats, cave hyenas, and giant leopards. These animals had exquisite night vision and padded paws for completely silent movement. And the fossil record literally proves it. Anthropologists in South Africa found a fossilized skull of an early human child bearing two distinct puncture wounds. Wounds that perfectly match the fangs of an ancient leopard. We were literally being snatched into the night. So humanity engineered a solution, the campfire. It was this fragile, glowing sanctuary in an absolute ocean of blackness, offering warmth and safety. But there was a catch. Staring into those bright, warm embers constricted early humans' pupils, which completely destroyed whatever weak peripheral night vision they had left. To look out past the fire was to look into an impenetrable void. A void filled with dancing, erratic shadows, and occasionally the glowing eyes of predators just waiting for the flames to die down.
Next up is Section 3, Gods of the Night. Let's look at cosmic terror.
Eventually, as humans transitioned to living behind stone walls, and the threat of physical predators kind of faded, that deep psychological terror didn't just vanish, it was projected onto the cosmos. Take ancient Mesopotamia, for example. The night was viewed with absolute dread there. They believed the dark belonged to terrifying storm demons known as the Sabiti, who supposedly roamed the streets bringing disease and madness, totally devoid of compassion or mercy. This ancient diviner's prayer really captures that suffocating silence and the desperate plea for protection when the daytime gods essentially abandoned the human world. Over in ancient Egypt, the cosmic terror took a slightly different shape, Apophis. This was a blind, flint-headed serpent of pure chaos that measured a staggering 16 yards long. The Egyptians believed that every single night their sun god Ra had to journey through the underworld and fight this giant snake. And if Apophis won, the sun would literally never rise again. So the dawn wasn't just basic astronomy to them. It was a hard-won, daily victory of light over the abyss. And the Greeks? They personified the dark as Nyx. She was a primordial goddess of such immense power that even Zeus, the king of the gods, was absolutely terrified of angering her. Her fatherless children included death, sleep, retribution, and strife. To the Greeks, the night birthed humanity's most inescapable pains. When the sun set, mortals could really do nothing but bolt their doors and pray for the morning. Which brings us to Section 4, the Agrarian Watch. We're looking at some new, very practical nighttime threats. As those ancient societies evolved into sprawling empires and medieval towns, that mythological dread was joined by highly practical socioeconomic dangers. The night literally threatened a farmer's entire livelihood. Wolves and boars could devastate livestock in a single raid, which could easily mean winter starvation. Then there were human predators. Actually, under Roman law, you were legally justified in killing a night thief right on the spot, because the darkness masked their numbers and their weapons. This era brought us the medieval night watch to patrol for thieves and fires. It also brought the fear of miasma, this widespread belief that the cool night air was thick with poisonous vapors that spread disease. People would literally seal their homes completely shut in the dark.
All right, Section 5, the mind in the dark. Let's talk about our neurological quirks.
But here's the thing. Even locked safely inside a stuffy room behind heavy wooden shutters, humans couldn't escape the dark. The quiet isolation forced our attention inward, and sensory deprivation makes us incredibly vulnerable to our own minds. Just consider sleep paralysis. This is a totally benign neurological condition where you wake up during REM sleep. Your body remains paralyzed, which is actually a natural mechanism to stop you from acting out your dreams, but your mind is completely conscious. Imagine that for a second. Waking up, entirely unable to move, feeling a crushing weight on your chest, and sensing a dark, malevolent presence hovering right there in your dimly lit room. Now, ancient cultures obviously didn't have modern neurology to explain this, so they interpreted these terrifying hallucinations as genuine demonic visitations. In Scandinavia, it was the mara, which, fun fact, is actually where we get the word nightmare. In Mesopotamia, it was the demon Lilitu. In medieval Europe, it was incubuses and succubuses. In a dimly lit room, the line between a nightmare and reality completely dissolved. It just reinforced this deep-seated belief that the night was an active realm of spiritual danger.
And finally, Section 6, the artificial day, how we ended up conquering the shadows.
After literally millions of years of cowering in the dark, humanity finally engineered a way to fight back. We evolved from huddling around those fragile Pleistocene embers, to the dim lanterns of the medieval watchmen, to the 19th century revolution of gaslights, and finally, to the incandescent bulb. For the very first time in human history, we could banish the dark at the flick of a switch. We created this continuous artificial day where we can work and play at all hours, essentially banishing the cave lions and the storm demons to the pages of history. Yet this modern conquest came with a pretty heavy cost. By flooding our world with light, we've also banished the stars. The vast majority of people today have never even seen the true, unpolluted Milky Way, the exact same sky that inspired all those ancient myths. And what's more, our biology is still completely tethered to the past. This constant artificial blue light disrupts our ancient millions of years old circadian rhythms, leading to a modern epidemic of sleep disorders and anxiety. So when we lay it all out, the puzzle pieces fit together perfectly. Biology made us vulnerable, physical predators made us prey. Then, as civilizations grew, that primal physical fear transformed into complex mythology and very real agrarian anxiety, all while our own neurology tricked us into seeing demons. It's this perfect storm of factors all layering together to hardwire the sheer terror of the night deep into the human species. Which leaves us with this final thought. Next time the power fails and you feel that sudden, involuntary spike of anxiety in the pitch blackness, or you find yourself double-checking the locks before bed, remember, it's not irrational. It's just a quiet, genetic echo from a time when the night belonged to the monsters.
Please like and subscribe.